Okay, how do we want to start this thing?
We're gonna start it with do you want to start or should I start? Can you start? I'm tired.
Okay, I'll start.
Okay, Mindy,
You'll start? All right, go ahead, start.
All right. Hello and welcome back to Fears for Queers, the podcast starring yours truly, Andy and Allie. Sorry, I hated that. I would never call you Allie in my life.
Welcome everybody. We have a great guest with us, an old friend of ours who is our adoptive dead mother and our goddess, the one that we look up to, Mindy.
Mindy.
Stop! Stop it!
Oh my gosh. Do you want to tell us
So,
what animal
today-
your hood is?
I think it's some sort of bear or raccoon. No, I'm just kidding.
Dogs of the
It's
forest.
an Ewok.
Oh, it is.
Yeah,
I
I
just
think.
saw that.
Yeah, there we go.
Heck yeah.
I'm a cute little Ewok. Allison and I have matching Ewok hoodies. I did not clue them in that we were gonna match today, but that's okay.
It's a sweet
Sorry,
surprise.
I had to wear my Love's gas station wolf jacket. Is that a wolf?
Is this the Wolf Moon shirt but jacket?
Yes. I had to have it.
Damn.
It is so beautiful.
Andy, what are you wearing?
A grandma sweater from Goodwill and same colored jacket.
Nice.
Yeah. We're all bundled up because baby, it's cold outside.
Baby, it'd be 0 degrees and below outside.
Anyways, I think we have a story from Andy that we're going to start the night off with.
It's a small little urban legend again from San Antonio. I started to do this one because my dad told me about it. It was an urban legend from his childhood in the area, so I thought it'd be an interesting one to go over. Similar to the railroad tracks, it's another one where it's sort of like a ghost haunting area. That ghost tour we took, Allison?
Yes.
This was one of the spots on there, but I don't know if you remember it.
Which ghost tour?
Oh, the San Antonio. It's just San Antonio ghost tours, right?
Oh,
yeah.
It's not anything fancy. You just walk around the Alamo and all that stuff around there.
I went on a ghost tour in the Alamo, and it was called like the Sisters Grimm.
Yes, that was it. That was it.
Yes!
Yes! Yes! Oh my god, that's amazing.
That's the one.
When did you go?
I went with Cammie. You know Cammie, Allison. I went with her back in 2014.
We went in 2013.
2013, yeah, we went the year before.
Yeah. Oh my god.
With our theater group.
It was junior year of high school. We went with we were doing a play about ghosts, so we were doing Blithe Spirit. And so
I love Blithe Spirit. I did that in high school.
Oh my god, that show was wild.
We did a scene. We did a scene from it in high school. It was supposed to be a student-directed thing.
Oh, cool.
Were you in it?
But it was fun. No. No, I just teched for it. My friend Paula directed it. And then it never went up. So
what? Oh no.
Wait, Andy
we were kind of a disaster in high school.
I was
What was the character's name?
Madame Arcadi.
Yes.
The psychic.
Yes.
Okay.
I made her an alcoholic.
The maid.
It's great. All right, back to the story. So this was basically a place where in the 1920s, a businessman was building a house for himself here. And the story goes that this businessman and his wife both had dwarfism. So this house was built with a lot smaller proportions. He was a really wealthy man, so he was able to get a custom-made house built. So all of the houses on this property are just smaller versions. And even though his children were both average human height, they still stayed there. Even the servants that they hired to work the mansion, it didn't matter. Um, and that will get relevant to the story in just a minute. Um, so whether or not there's two different ways for the story to end with similar aspects of the legend. Basically, one of the ways is that this man would mistreat the servants a lot, and one of the servants went insane and had like a murder homicide suicide kind of thing happen on the place.
Cool.
So that was one of the ways the legend ended, and that was sort of an uprising, like a working class people coming up against this, essentially stockholder. So hashtag topical, I guess, for what everything that's happening now. Um, so basically, like a mini revolution. But the other is that, just like many little cabin fever stories, the dad just kind of went kind of insane and killed the wife and the two children and threw them in a closet. But apparently, and then set the house on fire.
Oh, why do they always do that?
I know. Here's the thing.
Overkill.
And so they set the house on fire and they went outside and they shot themselves. But when investigators went into the house after it burned down, in the closet where the family was, they weren't actually dead. They came back and there was like written in blood
No.
like on the walls and like claw marks and
No.
stuff.
Oh,
Yeah.
I hate that more than
Yeah.
anything.
Woo.
Mm.
Very spooky.
Oh,
So
oh. I can already tell I'm not ready for Allison's story because that one just f***ed me up for the rest of the day.
yeah, these get pretty intense. And so this place is in like a popular area. It's off of Medical Drive on the northwest part of town. Yeah, I
Oh,
know.
really?
Yeah, so that's
By like
near.
Wurzbach or whatever?
Yeah. Cuz my dad,
God.
both of my parents went to UTSA, so they were in that area. And so dad.
So did my dad.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah.
that's awesome. What was his major? What did he do?
I just know he did basketball. I don't know what he did. I think he just studied
Major
religion, maybe?
at UTSA. Wow.
Yeah.
I had no idea. Wow. Um yeah, this place
That was
is
back in the
no
20s. I'm very old.
Shut up. um Dad would always talk about getting dared to like go spend the night at this place or to like go up to it at night. Uh Apparently he won a lot of bets by going with his friends to this site. Um Now there are some luxury like condos built on top of it, and just basically a lot of the similar effects of the Lubbock Hellgate, where there's just extremely bad feelings, weird, mysterious hauntings. There's a shadowy figure that walks around the premises, and a lot of people have reported hearing like screams from like somewhere far away. Maybe like the wife and the children that were trapped in the closet. Whew, it's a spooky story, but I would want to go. I mean, I kind of remember vaguely them talking about this, but I think because it wasn't like a actual location we could go to, um, they didn't really get too in depth with it. But because they mentioned just a bunch of Texas has so many haunted spots, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Cool.
But yeah, that's basically my little story. Another spooky place to go if you're in Central Texas.
All right, Mindy. Do we have a Mindy story?
Ooh.
Oh, yep. You know what? We do. You know where I come from, Big Spring, Texas. It's the most haunted place in Texas.
I had
That's
no idea.
true. Yeah, it is. And there's a few ghosts. Uh there's Harold, for instance. Harold is our high school auditorium ghost.
Nice.
Very spooky. He was allegedly a techie back when he was in high school, in the 1300s
Holy shit.
or later. And no. This part is true. This part is true. Since you asked for a story, I'll give you a story. Okay,
Heck
so
yeah.
we have a high school auditorium ghost, which all theaters have,
We have
and
one too.
yeah, and his name was Harold, and the story went that back in the 80s he was a techie, and he was up on the catwalk fixing one of the lights, and then he was holding his hand on the ceiling for support, and then fell to his death. And when we paint the stage black in the high school theater, don't know why they would ever be painting the ceilings above the catwalk, but you cannot paint over his hand print. It's still there. I cannot
Wow.
confirm or deny this, but allegedly his handprint is still there, and little old Harold, he he's a playful little
A
boy,
playful ghost.
playful little ghost.
Playful. Do you get it? Do you get it? It's because they do
Play-
playfuls. Oh shit!
That was really
That
good.
was
That was
really
really good.
good.
No, Big Spring is not haunted. Again, I just made up a lie. I don't know why I lied about that. I'm so
The
Harold is
sorry.
a
whole thing
believable
was
name,
a
though.
lie.
No, Harold is totally real. Like anyone from Big Spring knows about Harold the ghost.
Wow.
I for sure have felt a
Spooky.
little tap on the shoulder.
Oh my
I gave you a
gosh.
massage.
He said, "Hey babe, how's it going?"
I'm so lonely. Sorry.
Say, "Sorry, Ty. I need to go talk to Harold."
Sorry. I have to go to Big Spring.
Ew. I'm a
That is
smoker. It's not
hilarious.
COVID.
Oh my god. I'm a smoker. It's not COVID.
Which one's worse?
Honestly. I'm just
I'm
kidding.
gonna light up.
I'm just kidding.
All right, player haters.
So we had a mini story. We had a Mindy story, and now for the main
Main event.
course.
A big owl story.
Owl
Y'all
story
ready?
corner.
Big
I hate
owl.
that.
All right. So, do y'all know about the Donner Party?
I know what Andrew has
No,
excitedly.
I know zero.
Just.
You really
given
know
me
nothing?
intimately.
I know nothing. And when you told me that you were doing it, I said I didn't know anything about it. And your only instruction to me was to not Google it. So I have not done any research.
Heck yeah.
Good. Okay. Well,
Thank you.
shout out to Andy's boyfriend Andrew already. He helped me with some of the research and some of the facts I'll be
He's
sharing
obsessed
with y'all
this
tonight.
story.
But all right, and so it begins. The Donner Party. In 1846, Manifest Destiny, a phrase coined in 1845. Y'all know what manifest Y'all know what
You go
manifest destiny
west.
is?
You go west.
Why?
We go west
Because that's where
to seek
the money is.
for oil.
Sure. This is a literal, like, I just copy and pasted this from like a dictionary definition. It is the idea that the United States is destined by God, its advocates believed, to expand its dominion and spread democracy and capitalism across the entire North American continent.
All they spread was syphilis and corn.
So they were what in where were they first? New England, and they said we need to get this bitch to Oregon because that
we gotta go to Cali. We gotta go.
I mean, essentially,
wants us in Cali now.
Essentially, west of Missouri was considered an unorganized territory to those New Englanders, even though they were a bunch of natives and Mexicans. But anyways, thousands of settlers traveled to California and Oregon. During this time, there was a depression
You did get it right
Yeah.
with Oregon.
As well as typhus, cholera, and malaria outbreaks. And white Americans wanted to escape it by moving west.
I
The
feel like they
Oregon
just spread
Trail,
it.
yeah, they spread that shit. The Oregon Trail began in Independence, Missouri, and covered over 2,000 miles of various harsh landscapes, such as prairies, deserts, and mountains. The Oregon Trail was called by some the nation's longest graveyard, as nearly 10% of people who traveled it died on their way through. It was critical to cross California's easternmost side, the Sierra Nevada mountains, by the beginning of October, or travelers ran the risk of becoming trapped in snowstorms and stranded in the mountains. Dun dun
Hashtag
dun.
feels.
Lansford Hastings was a young former Confederate soldier, immigrant lawyer who traveled
Great.
west to California and fell in love. He
Already
then
hate it.
dreamed of Yes. He then dreamed of settling it, establishing a government, and claiming himself emperor of the land.
I'm sorry.
What a loser.
Is this dude a Mormon? Like, literally.
Not that I think. I'll have to tell Andrew to ask Andrew later. He knows more about this than me. He was so overcome by this dream that he wrote the famous book, The Immigrant's Guide to Oregon and California, the book that would lead to the Donner Party's demise.
Holy.
Lansford's main ulterior motive for writing this book was to flood California with white people to eradicate the already existing Mexican population so it would be
Nice.
easier to settle and conquer. Nice, yeah. Really nice.
God.
In his book, he claimed the natives were already dead from disease, so the road to California was not so perilous anymore.
They're
The book told, yeah, they're all dead.
all of them.
The book told of a newly discovered road that went through the Wasatch Mountains, through the Salt Lake Desert, and would cut 300 miles off the journey. He had never traveled this trail himself and made his golden discovery by looking at a map and assuming it was an easier way to travel because it appeared shorter. However, he had literally never traveled it, and this small lie would lead to the deaths of many people.
Cartography 101, bitch.
Hailing from Springfield, Illinois, brothers George and Jacob Donner hoped to secure fruitful land out west for their families, while George's wife, Tamsin, hoped to open an all-girls school when they arrived. They were joined by James Reed, a failed businessman who declared bankruptcy and was looking to start fresh, and his family. In total, they had a group of 32, including the hired drivers. They made their way to Independence, Missouri, and arrived in the second week of May. The newer and faster way to California spread like wildfire, and Jacob Donner had his own highly coveted copy of the Immigrant's Guide. When they arrived, he had to make a decision: to follow the wagon train on the already established path, or to take the Hastings cutoff. What do you guys think happened? Answer me.
That was the waiting music. I thought Mindy was gonna decide. I was providing the waiting music.
I think that he would turn around and think, let's hire a real good cartographer for this one.
Thank
Right.
you. They would take this as a sign, if they're religious, to be like, this is probably not the way to go.
Let's get a travel agent.
Exactly. Let's go to Travelocity. Where's that?
Travelocity.
All right, well, you're both wrong. The path
Bullshit.
starting off was muddy due to thunderstorms and flooding, and on May 27th, the train came to a standstill. At this point, John's wife's mother, Virginia, became ill and passed away. They built a makeshift ferry and got everyone across the river after they buried her. On June 27th, they reached Fort Laramie, an isolated trading post at the foothills of the Rocky Mountains. There, James Reed ran into an old friend turned explorer, James Clyman. He had just come from the direction of Hastings Cutoff. Reed asked him what he thought of the cutoff. It was then that Clyman begged Reed to take the regular old route, as the cutoff was too perilous. Then that Reed basically told Clyman to go himself because this was a perfectly fine shortcut.
Men, am I right? Am I right? Am I white? Like
Am I white?
all the way around.
Clyman bid farewell and continued east. On July 17th, a lone horseman came bearing a letter from Lansford Hastings. The letter urged all immigrants to continue pressing on to Fort Bridger, where Hastings would be waiting to escort everyone across the new trail. They were now 1,000 miles from Independence, and they had nearly 1,000 miles to go. It was at this point everyone elected George Donner as their leader, as most of the party thought James Reed was an aristocratic yuppie asshole.
Probably
Upon
true.
upon arrival to Fort Bridger, Hastings was not there. He had started west a week earlier and left behind a group of instructions for stragglers to catch up. It took 4 additional days to make repairs and rest up. On July 31st, they officially headed down the Hastings Cutoff. Ooh.
Spooky. They just left a piece of paper. He could care less. He was just like,
Yeah, literally.
you guys can
And he
die
was
whenever.
Go ahead.
So far, this is like a dramatized version of the Oregon Trail game,
Literally.
Essentially, it's about to
which
get much
I'm
worse.
loving.
Did Grandma
Yeah,
die
I
of
hope
dysentery?
you keep loving this. They officially headed down the Hastings Cutoff. They made absolutely stellar time at 10 to 11 miles per day.
Stellar time.
Me driving in the ice.
Through the mountains, following Hastings wagon tracks. On August 6th, on top of a patch of sage, was a note from Lansford Hastings. The road ahead is unsurpassable, and advised them to wait until he came back for them. Ignoring the warning, Reed continued ahead for 5 days until he found Hastings. When he did, Hastings refused to lead them and ominously pointed out the way to go from a high peak instead.
Interesting.
The party turned off the track into the Great Basin, Echo Canyon. At this point, they were making a very neat 2 miles per day, traveling uphill canyons and scraggly trees, hacking their way through, making a new road. They had expected it to take a week, like Hastings claimed, but it took an entire month.
Wow.
It was here when they finally reached the Great Salt Lake on August 22nd. There was still
Mormon.
600 miles to go, and at this point, everyone blamed Reed, but had no time to wallow in it. And then they found yet another letter from Hastings that read, 2 days, nights, hard driving, cross desert, take water. While crossing the desert, the ground churned, making the oxen pull the wagons yet again through muck. On the 3rd day, they ran out of water. Exhausted and water depraved, Reed's oxen bolted off into the desert and could not be found. The Reeds took what belongings they could and began to walk with their children and dogs.
God.
It took 5 days to cross the 80-mile desert. Finally stumbled out, almost dying of thirst. 36 oxen had escaped.
That's so many, and they couldn't find it in this just vast desert?
No. They bolted, dude. They were thirsty.
I used to swear they probably didn't stop till they found water.
Yeah. So at this point, many people were on foot and they were angry, hungry, thirsty, exhausted, low on supplies. They were angry at Reed and Hastings for his false advertising. They did not have the supplies to make it to California, so 2 men volunteered to go ahead and bring back a relief party. At this point, they discovered that the Hastings route was not only more treacherous than the normal route, but 125 miles longer, too.
Oh my gosh. How? How could they not tell from the map?
He's a fucking idiot. He had never traveled it himself. He just looked at the map and went, yep.
And went, y'all dumbasses, I can't believe you didn't see this diagonal line right here. It's like there's spikes written underneath it, like
Right.
sharks.
Just skull and crossbones.
Yeah.
Like, it's fine. Oh my gosh.
On October 5th, The Graves family wagon became entangled with the Reed family wagon while steaming up a large sandy mountain. Enraged, the Graves family driver jumped out of the wagon and began to beat their oxen with the butt of his whip. Reed got down and tried to stop him, but this only enraged him further, and Snyder bluntly struck Reed in the head with his whip. Reed drew his hunting knife and stabbed him in the chest. Snyder stumbled down the hill and then died.
Men. Again.
Why?
just literally why?
Why did any of this have to happen?
Don't want to ask for directions. And then everybody died.
The majority of the wagon team decided that this was indeed murderous. A German immigrant, Louis Giesberg, propped his wagon tongue on end and demanded Reed to be hung from it. Reed's wife begged for mercy, so instead of murdering Reed even harder like they all secretly wanted, they decided to banish him.
Just send him off, honestly. Just have him walk off like the ox.
True. Reed helped bury John Snyder, took one of their precious horses, and rode out west. The relief party had not yet arrived, and the party began to unravel. On October 7th, to grant relief to his tired oxen, Louis Giesberg yeeted an old man into the dust. Nobody else would take the old man, and he was last seen sitting beside the road, unable to walk.
Oh my gosh.
On October 12th, 21 oxen were killed with poisoned arrows shot by the Paiute Indians. The wagon train had now lost more than 100 head of cattle. Laughter bellowed from the basin as the Paiute mocked them from above.
Good. I mean,
How many oxen were there to begin with?
yeah, that's so
There was a
many.
fuck ton, like, joined all together, like, people kept joining. There was about 80 people,
Gotcha.
so
Just bring all
they
your
had a
farm
lot.
animals.
And Donner himself made this really, like, luxurious, just kind of caravan wagon
Mhm.
with a shit ton of ox, and a lot of people really went all out, and they lost everything.
Damn.
On October 16th, the party reached the edge of the Truckee. Clouds hung low and gray, and winter seemed to flaunt that it would soon be taking hold. On October 19th, their food was nearly depleted. Charles Staton, one of the men who went for a rescue party, returned with 7 mules carrying food and 2 native guides. He brought news claiming that it would be a month before the High Sierra would become blocked off with snow. Yet again, they took their sweet ass time, resting for 5 more days before they made the final push.
Gosh. Seems like they should just
Starting
keep going.
No, you would think they were already a week late
Right.
to joining the original party. And then they've taken so many rest days and they've had so many detours and
It's not about the
unexpected.
destination, though. It's about the
It's-
journey.
Right. Right. It's about the friends you made along the way.
they try to leave, and it's just, you must gather your party before venturing forth. You must gather your.
They camped
I have a friend, by the way. There's a little baby down
Corgi
here.
baby.
He loved the snow. Anyway.
Where's Puppy? Oh, I
Puppy?
missed Puppy.
There's
Hi,
Puppy.
Puppy. Aww.
He's so
love him
sleepy.
so
He's a sweet
Puppy,
man.
puppy.
He had a lot of fun in the snow. Thank you.
Oh, I would do anything for him. If you ever need a dog sitter, I'll travel.
I'll mail him to you.
Okay.
Starting up the river again, George Donner's family wagon took an L as the front axle collapsed.
Took a big L.
They began to cut timber to make a new one, and while doing so, George had an oopsie moment and gashed his hand. The family fell further behind, leaving them behind. The rest of the party headed towards the summit.
And this was George.
They reached the other.
The-
George
the
Donner.
dude. Okay, just want to make sure.
Yeah, so the rest of the wagon party were like, all right, we'll come back for you, and then they just kept going.
Same. Honestly, I would have too.
They reached the other side of Truckee Lake, which soon would be named Donner Lake.
That's not good.
I wonder why.
That's never
They
good.
camped beneath they camped beneath the summit waiting for the Donners to catch up, and they never arrived. As if to laugh in their face, Sky Daddy flipped a switch and it began to snow. 5 feet of snow had accumulated that morning, and it was impossible for the
5
mules and the
feet?
wagons to go up any. Yeah,
Oh my gosh, we just had 5 inches of snow.
Yeah,
I can't
I
imagine
know.
5 feet. That's
but
me.
this isn't okay. But yeah, hold on to that energy. It's impossible for the mules and the wagons to go up any further as they all began to sink. One of the native guides claimed that he could no longer find the road they came from. The weather only got harsher, colder. The next morning, the pass was completely blocked. They had traveled 2,500 miles, only to lose their battle with time by 1 day.
Mm.
They were only 150 miles from safety at Sutter's Fort in California.
So
That's
messed
If
up.
they had
heart-wrenching.
Oh my
Totally
god.
been there in my video games, you know what I mean? I can
Just
totally relate.
Yeah, Red Dead 2.
Red Dead Redemption, yeah, I totally get that. I've so been there.
They made their way back to the lake and built a river camp. It endlessly snowed. Meanwhile, at Sutter's Fort, the Americans there had waited weeks for the Donner Party to arrive, to no avail. They were shocked when 181st of the party arrived at the fort,
My
and that
god.
181st was no other than our beloved James Reed, who looked more dead than alive.
Oh man.
Desperate to save his family, Reed begged for horses and supplies and rushed back into the mountains. 2 days out, it started to rain, and the rain turned into snow. 12 miles from the summit, he could go no further and turned back to the fort for help, and they had no help to give. Every able bodied person had gone south to fight the Mexicans. He would have to wait.
Same.
Stop.
I'm sorry. I am Mexican for those on the podcast who don't know that Allison and I are both Hispanic.
The 81 members of the Donner Party, 25 men, 15 women, and 41 children, including 6 nursing infants, were now huddled together miserably inside of a makeshift winter camp. The Breens took over an abandoned shack. Keysburg built a lean-to against one side of that shack. Nearby, the Eddies built a hastily constructed log cabin that also housed 3 other families. A second cabin housed the Graves family and the remainder of the Reed family. 6 miles away, Donners huddled together in tents. They scanned the summit, hoping for a relief party. None came. They attempted to pass the summit twice, both times ending in failure, floundering in a 20-foot drift. December came, and they began to mix what little meat remained with whatever they could chew and swallow. Boiled hides, charred bones, twigs, bark,
don't
leaves.
I don't like where this is going. I don't.
Reed's hired man,
God, they're
Bayless
gonna drink
Williams,
each other's
died of
blood.
malnutrition. Oh, you think so?
Stop!
On December 15th, 15 of the strongest immigrants, with William Eddy and the 2 native guides, Luis and Salvador, in the lead, they started towards the summit. They took 6 days' rations and called themselves the Forlorn Hope. In crude snowshoes made out of ox bones and rawhide, it took 2 days to scale the summit. Once over the pass, the sun began to blind them, and on the 6th day, their food ran out. Charles Stanton, corny as sunburnt and too weak to carry on, told everyone to go on without him. He was last seen sitting on a stump in the snow, calmly smoking a pipe.
That's how I want to go out.
Yeah, pretty badass, honestly.
Yeah, you just fading into the snow.
On the 9th day, they were hopelessly lost. On Christmas Eve, it began to snow again. They managed to light a fire, and most of them were delirious and far gone. They felt death encroaching. They began to entertain the idea of drawing sticks, and whoever drew the longest should be the sacrifice. Patrick Dolan drew the fatal stick, but no one had it in them to kill him. Antonio, a Mexican teamster, died. Franklin Graves died next, in his daughter's arms. Dolan went insane, slipped into a coma, and died. William Eddy relit the fire, and they cut the flesh from the arms and legs of Patrick Dolan.
I knew
They
it.
averted eye contact, wept, and ate his flesh.
Oh my
Oh,
god.
what the fuck?
I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do.
Do you?
I don't think so.
Do you want to know? Do you want to know who didn't eat the flesh?
Who?
You want to guess? The two native guides. Luis and Salvador refused to partake in the cannibalism.
They know what's up. They said,
Yeah.
none of
They
that white
said
people
that's
nonsense.
that white
Yeah,
people
that's
shit.
totally white people nonsense.
Can't figure it out? Eat them. Just eat them. Just eat them.
I know that's true because earlier, like when you were starting the story and you kept saying that they ran out of water, I was like, I would just drink someone's blood. And then I was like, oh my god, I just went way too white person. Like that was way too much of like a white person instinct.
Just drink their blood.
Just drink their blood. There's got to be water in there somewhere.
They butchered, wrapped, and labeled the remaining dead separately, so no one had to eat their kin. They stagger on through the wilderness, cursing Lansford Hastings. 3 days later, there was yet again nothing to eat. William Foster proposed using the natives for food, and William Eddy tried to talk him out of it. He even told Luis and Salvador of the white man's plan. The two guides stood there disbelievingly and then silently vanished into the woods.
Some dude tells me he wants to take over my community and then wants to eat me. Yeah, damn right. I would peel out of there.
Yeah.
Back at the lake, Jacob Donner,
Holy shit.
Sam Shoemaker, Joseph Reinhardt, and James Smith had expired. The rest of the camp was in a low situation. On January 10th, 1847, the Americans took over Los Angeles from the Mexicans. California now belonged to the U.S. With the war over, James Reed rushed to San Francisco to raise money and men for the relief of his family and friends. January 17th, at the foothills of the Sierra Nevada, William Eddy arrived at a cabin and knocked hoarsely, asking for bread. The 6 other survivors of the Forlorn Hope lay a short way up the trail. Only 2 of the 10 men had made it through. All 5 women had survived. When he was well enough to speak, William Eddy shared a horrible, chilling story. He spoke of the camp of death, wandering for 18 days in the deep snow, of Sarah Fosdick, who had to watch her husband die and then see his heart roasting on a stick, the bloody footprints of Luis and Salvador, who wandered as far as they could, lying in the snow, too weak to move, how William Foster shot each of them in the head, and how the survivors used the men for food.
God damn. That's so much. Oh, gosh. Sorry, we're just like, wow.
Love that.
You love it?
That's the best.
I love
when
it.
everybody dies and gets eaten, I love that.
Yeah, it's really cute.
Yeah, thank you. It's cute. Aww.
Oh, look at his heart. It's caramelizing.
No.
I hate it.
On February 5th, the first relief party headed towards the snowy mountains. The second party, led by James Reed, was 2 days behind them. On February 19th, 1847, 7 freezing, exhausted men from the first relief party made their way towards Truckee Lake. No one was to be seen. The search party raised a loud, "Hello?" and suddenly a woman emerged from a hole in the snow. Several other people emerged. They were gaunt, barely clinging to life, ghastly. The first woman spoke in a hollow voice and asked, "Are you men from California? Or do you come from heaven?"
Oh my gosh. That's so intense, dude.
12 immigrants.
Oh my god. They're like literal mole people.
Yeah. 12 immigrants.
That was a twist I was not expecting at all. Okay, I'm sorry.
No, you're not ready.
Oh, that's never good.
Okay.
Not done. 12 immigrants had died, and bodies were strewn around the camp atop the snow, covered in quilts. 48 people clung to life, but some had gone mad, and others were too far gone to be revived. Margaret Reed, Peggy Breen, and Tamsin Donner had managed to keep all their children alive. None of the survivors at the lake had been forced to eat human flesh. None of the survivors had been. Oh, I already wrote that. I wrote that line twice. Edit that out.
It's important
Anyways,
to say it again.
none of the survivors have been forced to eat human flesh. The rescuers could only take 28 of the starving immigrants with them. The Breens agreed to wait for the next party. So did the Donners. George was too sick to move, and Tamsin refused to leave his side. There was barely any food to spare for the desperate people left behind. For 2 more months, 4 more relief parties battled the terrible snow of the Sierra Nevada to save the stranded immigrants. None of the survivors had been forced to eat human flesh. Rescuers could only take 28 of the starving immigrants with them. The Breens agreed to wait for the next party. So did the Donners. George was too sick to move, and Tamsin refused to leave his side. There was barely any food to spare for the desperate people left behind. For 2 more months, 4 more relief parties battled the terrible snow of the Sierra Nevada to save the stranded immigrants. When the first relief party left the lake, 8-year-old Patty Reed volunteered to stay behind to take care of her 3-year-old brother Thomas, who was too small to make it through the drifts. She said, "Ma, if you never see me again, make sure you do the best that you can."
So heartwarming. Oh
Stop.
no.
Did you have to do the accent?
It's
Yeah.
not gonna end well for them. I just know. Be still my
I
heart.
know that she's not gonna have a great ending.
The first relief party came into contact with the second relief party, the party led by James Reed. He caught sight of his wife and 2 of his children, looking gaunt and ghastly. 2 of his children still remained in the mountains. They had been separated for 5 months. When he reached the lake, Patty and Thomas were still alive. 10 more immigrants were dead, and the survivors had begun to eat the dead. In the middle of their cabins, gaunt and shivering, the survivors sat in filthy rags. Among them was their unholy feast of half-eaten bodies, limbs, skulls, and hair.
Blech,
It was written that they looked more like demons than human beings.
I bet. Gosh.
The fiercest storm of the winter broke over the mountains as the second relief party headed up, immigrants in tow. For 2 days, they huddled around a fire that sank slowly into the snow. It was there where the third relief party found them, 10 days later. They had consumed 2 children of Jacob Donner's.
Ooh,
Miss Graves' body was lying there, almost all of the flesh cut from her limbs, her breasts gone, her heart
baptism.
and liver taken out. Her little child, 13 months old, sat at her side, one arm on the body of his mangled mother, sobbing bitterly. "Ma, ma, ma."
Stop!
Stop!
No.
That's
Mother.
so not necessary.
It's what happened.
That's true. It's so it just
It is.
spine chilling. Just
It's so fucked up.
When the third relief party arrived to the lake, only 7 immigrants remained alive. Tamsin Donner was among them. George, who was dying, begged her to leave. She refused. She would not let her husband die alone. The fourth relief party was delayed by 1 entire month by the 9th and final blizzard of what was the worst winter ever recorded in the Sierra Nevada mountains. They found Louis Keseberg in his cabin, delirious, surrounded by the half-eaten dead. No one else was alive. Tamsin's body was never found. Keseberg confessed to eating her remains.
Oof.
Ew.
On April 21st, the last relief party left the lake. On April 25th, they reached Bear Valley. All of the survivors of the Donner Party had now made it out of the mountains. It had been 1 year to the day that they had left their homes in Springfield, Illinois. Of the 87 men, women, and children of the Donner Party, 46 survived. 41 died. 5 women, 14 children, and 22 men, including Lewis and Salvador, the 2 native guides who risked their lives to save the immigrants. Of all the families, the Donners suffered the greatest. All 4 adults and all 4 children perished. All of the Reeds and Breens survived. The story spread around the country. Of all the letters written and tales of people surviving off of eating human flesh, immigration to California fell off sharply, and Hastings Cutoff was no more. In January 1848, gold was discovered in John Sutter's Creek. Thousands of people rushed to the lake to sift for gold, where the Donners had lost everything. In 1850, California entered the Union as the 31st state. The lake became a tourist attraction. The ordeal passed into history and legend. Louis Keseberg spoke openly of eating human flesh and was reviled as a man-eater and a ghoul. He made it big during the gold rush and opened a restaurant in Sacramento.
No.
The man who ate everyone?
Now, why? At that point, you've got to know your own reputation, right?
The International House of Cannibalism.
Stop.
IHOC.
He adopted his children out to a Swiss couple who lived near Sutter's Fort. James Reed refused to speak of the killing of John Snyder and became a successful real estate agent. Lansford Hastings went back into law. He published a book called The Immigrant's Guide to Brazil, and then died trying to establish a colony of ex-Confederates in South America.
Good.
Yeah.
The Reeds were the only family
Should've died
to
sooner.
abstain from eating humans.
Wow.
And that is the story of the
Gosh.
Donner Party.
How do you feel, Mindy?
What do you think?
Not great. Don't feel great at all.
No?
Didn't like that. Thanks for having me on the show. Bye, guys.
Disconnect. Oh, that's why. I mean, Andrew had told me specifically that it was like a cannibalist story, but because he's always been interested by the story as well. So that was like all I knew. I didn't know like to this extent how just painful that whole process was.
Like desperation at its like peak.
Yeah, absolutely. The survival.
Because it was people that they knew and like people that they had been traveling with for like just an excruciating amount of time, and they were like, you know, they knew intimate details of the people they were feasting on.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That's wild.
I have no.
What do y'all
Like,
think the moral of the story is?
don't go to Utah. Don't go
Don't
there.
take
Never.
shortcuts.
Also,
Oh, that's a better moral.
ever, especially if they look
Why-
shorter.
So definitely like I would blame this all on Hastings.
Oh hell yeah.
100%.
Like all of it. Like yeah, 100%. Like I kind of like yeah, you don't have to resort to cannibalism, okay? Right?
Right.
But I can see a case being made. There is no redeeming qualities whatsoever for Hastings.
No.
Andrew actually
Motherfucker.
told me that about James Reed.
Uh-huh.
Apparently, do you want to know who very well almost came on this expedition?
Who?
His longtime war buddy, Abraham Lincoln.
What? No.
The only reason he did not come on this expedition was because Mary, his wife, had just given birth, but he considered it.
Wow.
Oh my god.
They almost ate the
Yeah.
president. They almost ate the tall hat man.
Well, this was before. I think this was before.
Oh, before he was president?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. That is
But-
absolutely wild.
That's bonkers. I love that.
I think the story.
Why? I have a question.
Yes.
Now. Why did they call it like So I know that you said that the Donner suffered the most out of any of the families, but why do they call it like the Donner what is it called? Like the Donner murders? Like the Donner
Oh, the Donner
party?
dinner
The Donner
party?
party?
The Donner dinner party.
It's called the Donner
Is it
dinner
because they
party.
let it?
And because they ate
I
people
guess
for
they were
dinner.
the family. Yeah, they let it, and they definitely like were the ones that suffered the biggest tragedy out at that lake.
Hmm.
'Cause none of them survived, and they spearheaded it.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So thanks,
I
Keysburg.
think
Right.
I was expecting like only I don't know what I thought it was going to be about, but from what you told me in the chat beforehand, I was like, "Oh, okay, maybe it's like I don't know, like four brothers
It
and
was
they died."
it was a bunch
But
of
it's like
families.
It's 40 people.
just like a shit ton of people being eaten.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
What the fuck?
I'm
It
I mean,
surprised
that
you never
store has
heard of it.
everything.
true.
I've never heard of it, but it has everything. It has mole people. It has manifest destiny.
Murder.
It has almost the death of our once and future president, Abraham Lincoln. I
Oh my
mean,
gosh.
that was fantastic. I
I
mean, not fantastic. It was awful, and I hated every second of it, but it was fantastic.
Absolutely. I was enthralled the whole time, and I even knew some things beforehand, but this level of detail and just understanding, like I feel like this so emphasizes the butterfly effect, because that guy, just all he had to do was just not pick that shortcut, and then all these people
Yeah.
would be alive, and nobody had to eat anybody, you know?
Yep.
It also spoke to how much more trusting people were to be like, "Oh, this guy found a shortcut. That must be
Legit. That's
like,
fine.
duh, why wouldn't we go yeah, why would we choose any other way?"
Yeah,
No
I don't think
offense
that would
to
fly
my
now.
family, but I think my family would fucking eat me. Like, if that happened, my family would fucking eat me. I don't trust I don't trust
Allison!
any of these bitches anymore, not just my family. Bitches isn't anybody. I mean, I trust y'all. I don't think y'all would eat me. I don't think.
I could never eat you, Allison, unless you gave me
You swear to
permission.
God? You pinky promise?
A non-consensual eating of another human being is not my way to go. Now,
Alright.
if you cut off your
I
foot
won't even
and you say, "Let's eat it together,"
and it's right there.
what am I gonna do? You know.
Right.
I couldn't eat another person because here's the thing about me is that I can't even eat my chicken McNuggets if I don't have honey mustard.
So human, I need some ranch. I need some.
Yeah, so I'd be like, I don't know. Like I could starve.
Uh,
Right.
what
Like
do
I'll eat
humans
tree
taste
bark.
like? I'm
Apparently,
Googling it.
once you
Don't
eat,
Google that. Allison, stop Googling that.
once you eat human
Uh,
flesh, apparently you
this
crave
says
nothing else.
human flesh
Really?
looks like beef, but the taste is more elusive.
Elusive.
Wait, go back to what you just said, Andy.
Apparently,
What was that
when you
about?
eat human meat, you can tend to only get a craving for human meat, is the like stereotype behind it. That's why it's behind a lot of like sci-fi zombie movies, is like mad cow disease, now it's zombies. So something in the
Oh, I
brain.
love that. I've never heard that
Really?
before.
I don't know if it's
Yeah.
true because I've never eaten a human, but are there any? There's probably survivors of
First time for
cannibalism.
everything.
Oh no.
You know that Twitter discourse that goes around like every couple of weeks where it's like, is it ethical to eat
Mm,
people
yep,
if they say that they consent to being
that's what
cannibalized?
I was saying.
So, meh.
Is it ethical to eat?
Is it ethical to eat?
Eh.
Jury's still out on that one. Oh my gosh.
Thanks, Twitter.
Yeah, this is definitely just like Oregon Trail gone bad.
Yeah, it really is.
I honestly probably would have been the two natives who were just like, we're just gonna go. You're eating
Yeah.
people. We're just
I love
we're
how
just
they
gonna
just
go.
noped out into the
They're like, I'd rather
woods.
die out there.
Like,
Fucking hell.
Honestly, I probably would
I
rather.
mean, honestly, that's what I would rather do. I would rather die to the elements than die to like at the hands of someone else's force.
Yeah.
Did they have forks
For
back
sure.
then? That was all hand food. It was finger food. It was like a nugget. It was
Hors
like a leg, like a
d'oeuvres.
turkey leg.
Finger licking.
Hors
Hors
d'oeuvres.
d'oeuvres.
Hors d'oeuvres.
Hors d'oeuvres.
I don't know how they ran out of food so quickly. I mean, I feel like that's a lot of food. Like, if
Should've
you
Right.
planned for that.
Maybe they should have just dieted better. You know what I mean? Like calorie
Maybe.
counted.
lose the weight, ladies.
They should have gone keto. Everybody would have been fine. Can you imagine?
You know what I'm gonna do to lose the weight? I'm gonna dig myself a snow hole and then come out gaunt and starved.
It's the London look. You just pop back up.
It's the London look.
Honestly, if those
1847 chic.
dysentery light, if those like bison didn't get away, like 80 of them, I wonder if they would have had to have been cannibals at
Oh,
all.
the
different
you know?
remaining
story.
oxen that they had were fucking ate to death. And then after they ate all the meat, they boiled the hides
Right.
and ate that.
Gosh.
So they like sucked on marrow for as long as they could.
Kids these days
And they ate
don't
all
know
their
how
pet
hard it
dogs.
was. They
They
ate all their
ate the
beans.
dogs and the mules.
Back when I was a kid,
We had to eat grandma when we didn't hunt in the winter.
we sucked on marrow.
No, there's
Marrow
literally letters.
one.
Like if you look up the letters that all these people were writing, like they're oh my god, there was the saddest letter that was ever written. She was recalling
Read it.
okay,
out to me.
well I'm just gonna tell you what happens, but essentially she was like a 6-year-old or something, and she said, I was sitting in the cabin, hungry as could be, and a ray of light shone through the roof. I tried to catch it in the palm of my hands, and I brought it over to Ma. But when I opened it, there was nothing.
Holy shit! My heart died. My heart.
What a dumbass.
You can't hold light, bitch.
Object permanence. Look it up.
That's so funny.
I'm
That would've-
sorry. I
Cancelled.
really should have more reverence and respect for these dead people. I'm so
For this
sorry.
dead
Is it too
child.
soon?
Hashtag too soon. God, that's so sad. That's just ugh.
Oh my god, that's heartbreaking.
really
Why isn't
is.
this a movie?
It is.
Well, I don't want a movie of it.
Right?
There's a movie. There's
Is
a movie.
it?
Is it called the Donner Dinner Party?
I think it's called The Donner Party
Donner
or
Party.
some shit.
Mm.
If you ever want to watch it, let me know. I went off a few
Is it good?
I don't know. I went off some documentaries.
Oh, really cool.
Yeah,
What are the documentaries
The
called?
Donner Party.
Just the wow. Think they could come up
Sorry.
with a new title or something. All these people got eaten and they're not doing anything with that.
Ew!
Now I can hear that. I could hear every bit of that.
Wait, me?
No, that was Mindy.
Okay, I thought it was fucking me again.
No, I can't hear it. No, that was that.
Slurp.
Oh my god, there's a hair
The
in my
fiercest
soup.
storm of. Ew.
Oh.
I
Well,
could not.
Here lies the Donner Party, pepperoni and cheese.
Mindy.
Sorry.
Wait, what was the guy's restaurant called? What was the dude's
Oh,
restaurant?
I don't
What was
fucking know.
It's like finger licking good.
Finger fucking good. All right, I'm sorry.
Oh
that
my
was too
god,
much.
Allison. I'm gonna have to clown honk you.
No, you aren't. You don't have to clown honk. I'm a free spirit.
to
You can
honk
you
you?
can honk me. Thank y'all so much for listening, and thank you, Mindy, for being an amazing
Yes!
guest.
Thank you, Mindy, for being on our
Thank
show.
you for having me on.
Yeah.
Of
Have
course.
me on all the time because I don't know a lot about true crime, even though I enjoy
We'll
it.
only do cannibal
Yeah,
stories
we'll
for you.
definitely have you on. Yeah, only cannibal stories.
Just
I have one in
every
mind
single
right
time.
now.
Oh my gosh.
Desensitize me to it, and then by like my 20th time on here, I'll be like, yeah, I'm ready to eat
Oh,
something.
this is great.
No, I won't.
Ty,
I'm
give me
sorry.
your foot. This time we're gonna cook
I
it. Oh my gosh, that's wild.
hate
But
it.
yeah, thanks you guys
Alright,
for
but thank
listening in.
y'all.
Yeah, we'll see y'all next week. Bye.
Stay spooky.
Wave of dance. Wave of dance.